Alright, so I'm currently trying to platinum every single type of EA game that there is out there, and if I can't do it before the channel hits 1 million subscribers, then my punishment is I have to platinum Fortnite, one of the longest, hardest, and most grindy games of all time. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Alright, so yes, in today's video, I got the platinum trophy on MindsEye. It's one of the best games to ever release in the past century of modern gaming, but obviously this isn't a part of the EA challenge I've been doing on the channel, and I want to apologize for that. That challenge is still going on, obviously. I just need a little break from playing those games, to be honest. So I thought I'd bless myself with an absolutely amazing title like MindsEye. I did also want to announce that this Saturday, the 16th, I will be going for the Star Wars Battlefront 1 Platinum, and the game is very much dead, so if any of you guys would like to help, you can either just be playing it that day and try to get my lobby, or you can DM me on PlayStation, ItsIlusionexe, and I'll invite you to the group chat we have made right now for the platinum boosting of that game, and I would really appreciate it since I do want to make the video on Battlefront so bad, but the lobbies are just too dead to do so normally. Anyways, back to the video today. MindsEye released a little while ago. I wanted to try it out when it dropped, but I just didn't have the time to do so. However, I decided today to swallow the pill and get it done with. The game has a grand total of 30 trophies, including the platinum trophy. It took me about 9 hours to finish it, getting the 4th fastest time on the game's platinum, and nearly every trophy is just from the story, which is low-key a W, I can't lie. So, kicking off the game today, there really isn't any stages, but just for reference, stage 1 is to beat the story of the game, and it's really the only stage there is. But MindsEye begins immediately. Yep, you heard that right. The game does not have a menu screen or anything. You legit just get thrown into the dumpster fire unwillingly. It's actually hilarious. In all my years of gaming, I have never, and I mean never, seen a game that just starts. Gotta love the creativity. But the main premise of MindsEye was that our character named Jacob Diaz, the most generic Mexican video game character name, was a drone pilot back in his army days, and he basically piloted this drone into some ancient monument, and he saw these symbols that would alter his life and the earth forever. But then it swaps to current day, and Jacob is just crashing at one of his friend's house from the army, as a matter of fact. And when I say crash, I mean that literally, because he passes out right after greeting his homeboy. I can't imagine what the hell this dude was thinking. His name is Seb, by the way, for those that actually care about MindsEye's story. But Seb's main purpose was just getting Jacob this job at Silva Corp because Seb already works there, and Jacob is trying to uncover what happened to him after he saw those symbols in the intro cutscene, because since then he can't really recall what the hell is going on. And you also do get given this high-tech contact lens from Seb, which is just a tool for us to use, and that also gives you the first trophy of the game from that. And by the way, I still have yet to actually play this game. Yeah, I've just been watching the cutscenes, and by the way, you also cannot skip a single cutscene in the game. We might have just found Its Ilusion's kryptonite, boys, I can't lie. So yeah, the game then continues on with Jacob's first day of work at Silva Corp. The city the game takes place in, by the way, is called Red Rock, and it's in the middle of the desert. I think it's supposed to be a reference to Las Vegas as well, because they mentioned it was a giant gambling town back in its prime. But then you actually do get to play, and it just becomes walking simulator until we end up at Silva Corp, and we got to meet our boss, who puts Jacob in charge of security, which is his job detail here. But this bitch had the eye of Sauron bleeding into my brain the entire time we talked, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. But then you do get sent on your first mission, and it's just to drive a little ways down the road and take out some rogue robots that are fighting back. Oh no, another game where robots go evil. I can't believe this. So I just shot them all. We also came here with Seb, who does nothing because he was scared. Understandable. But on the drive back, he says this never happens, and I just don't believe him. Lying ass motherfucker. While back at Silva Corp, though, some dude stole some hardware, and we had to track him on the cameras as he tried to sneak away. And you just do that for a few seconds before it ends and another trophy pops from the story. You do have to keep on tracking him, though, and he drives super far into the desert to some ruins with the hardware, then drops it off, and we also parked the drone here for a pickup because somebody got sent out there just to grab both of them before his buyer shows up. But then you swap back to being just Jacob again, and he went off on his own to snoop around some offices at the job site, because Jacob's real agenda with his job at Silva Corp was to figure out who put this chip in his brain called the MindsEye. Absolute cinema. They named the game after something in the game and say its name in the game. That's what I call peak, baby. After a bit of snooping, though, you end up seeing this portal just appear, and I went through it because I didn't know what else to do. Turns out it was just a side content memory thing. And these have literally zero purpose in the game, do nothing at all, attribute to nothing, and they are just not needed. I honestly have no clue why the developers threw this into the game. This is the same game, by the way, they teased as being the next GTA. I love it.
So that was a fucking lie.
But the game then does have us drive out to that place where the worker from earlier was trying to sell some highly classified hardware, and upon arriving, you just have to take out every single enemy. Who doesn't love murdering them by the dozens? Speaking of murdering, the Eye of Sauron showed up again and completely killed my sex drive. No, but seriously, you can freeze them bitches off, and I think she should. A day then passes and we go back to work. This game is legitimately just job security simulator. But at work, we comprehended the guy that was trying to sell the hardware, yelled at him a little, maybe punched him, maybe not. But ultimately, we forced him to open this locker, and it just blew up. This is by far the most shocking moment I've seen in the game, and spoiler, what we will see in the game. But then the kind of cool moment we just had got killed because we were forced to do a CPR mini game. Yes, I did kiss a dude, and he died. But I got a trophy anyways. The game then had us drive all the way across the map, and this game's driving mechanics aren't bad. It's just the fact that there isn't like any music or anything happening while you drive the car inside of it. So I really began to feel like a true psychopath. One of them punching metal for fun kids, if you will. But we went to the RV park to find some person of interest inside of his special RV, and again, once we opened it or got near the thing, it just blew up. Some bitch out there just playing with C4, let's be real. There was then a load of combat after that, by the way, which ultimately led us into another car chase, and then just into more combat against these fugitives. The enemy rebels or gang in this game, by the way, are called the Red Sands. They don't really do much besides just be annoying the entire time, so that's fun. But they were after this girl named Charlie Robin Hood, who is some crazy good hacker in the city, and we ended up having to protect her because we need her help with things, and the game told us to do it, so we must. So far, this game I've played for like an hour or two at this point, and I still have no clue what the actual is going on. It's just random BS being thrown at us, I swear to God. But you pretty much just protect her, and she drives away from the Red Sands, and then you go to an apartment Silva Corp gave us to house her as we figure things out and require her assistance. You then just leave, and another trophy pops from the story. The game then tries to spice up the game's story a little bit because, as I've been saying, nothing's really happened. But Jacob does end up getting summoned to go to Mr. Silva's residence, who is the rich genius dude that runs Silva Corp, and he's pretty chill, to be honest, kind of an odd dude, but your job was just to attend a political party with him. We also got introduced to the game's first real villain, being this bitchy mayor girl, but spoiler, she does like nothing the entire game, and it's just a dead-end intro to her character. However, at the party, our guy did get drugged, and then we had to save him from the Red Sands, who are back and being annoying once more. And while fighting them, I did get my 50th headshot, though, for one of the few combat trophies in this game, and here is that. But once you do chase the Red Sands and Mr. Silva across town, you end up doing a final stand fight against them because they didn't expect us to follow them so well. But while I was, again, just fighting them, I got another combat trophy from just 100 enemy kills in general, and here is that also. You then do save Mr. Silva and fly him back home in his sky car. He ends up going into a f***ing oxygen tank to sober him up, and I got a business idea. Make one of these actually work and put it inside of bars and then charge extremely high fees so people have to drive home safe. God, I'm so smart. Oh yeah, and then another story trophy did pop. Alright, so I'm just gonna start spitballing more than I already am about the story because the game is short and it has a lot of random BS happen, but we're gonna be here all day if I explain it, and I don't want to be here all day. So the next trophy I got was actually the only missable trophy of the entire game, and yes, it was a story trophy, but it's from entering this woman's apartment who has something we need through her vent flying this drone, but without the drone taking any damage at all. And this is actually very easy to get because if you ever take damage, you can just back out of the game to the temporary main menu screen, then press resume and it will reset your reset checkpoint. And you just want to be careful, I guess, to not get blown away by that fan that starts every few seconds. But once you do make it into her apartment without taking damage, the trophy pops. While in there, you basically just steal a lens she has and then dip before she notices. Jacob then heads back to work, and some scientists there ran a few tests on us and our brain chip because it is quite odd that we have one and nobody has to say about it. But after that, another story trophy does pop. You then go to this apartment that has been abandoned, and it's kind of scary, but there was some info in this safe, and just after unlocking it, you get another trophy, so here is that. You then begin this odd story with some girl named Claudia who worked for Mr. Silva but turned on him and is also who drugged him, and she is riding with the Red Sands and evil clans of the game, so we just fought a ton of them, had a car chase with Claudia which went on forever, by the way, just for her to escape, which is awesome. But then we jump into another storyline, and I really have no clue what's going on at this point, but you end up in a mine of sorts when you walk into this dude's lab. Then Jacob gets a very clear memory of what happened to him after he saw those glowing alien symbols in the intro of the game. Talk about dragging it, my god. But after waking up Jacob, he has all of his memories back, and we meet this guy named Morrison who was like a genius, and he knows all about those aliens that come from the ancient place we were in. Also, a trophy does pop from the story. So Morrison is that our mission giver for kind of like the rest of the game, and we sort of just dip on our other job with no real explanation from the game. If it sounds like what I'm saying is just random shit about this game, then you would be right, but that's literally how it plays out. MindsEye has like 6 different story arcs all happening, and spoiler, nothing happens in them. They all go unresolved, and the game just ends how it ends, which we'll get to that, my god. But Morrison has these devices he makes Jacob plug into all of the machines around the game's map, and that's kind of the main gameplay we do for a while. style. They are called ODTs, by the way. Stands for, oh damn, this shit is trash. Anyways, after plugging in the first one, I got a trophy, so whatever. And we also ended up doing this in a prison as well, and it has some of the most annoying stealth you could possibly do, so that made this amazingly good game even better than it already was. Ultimately, though, all we had to really do was a little hacking mini game where you change one single thing, and it's almost funny how easy the puzzle was. Like, it's actually laughable. This also does pop another trophy, by the way, from the story, but once you do finally escape the prison, again without being seen, another story trophy does pop. There was then a little break from doing Morrison's bidding, and we had to help escort and spot this rocket's launch, which the rocket never actually launches, I don't think, or if it does, I can't even remember because I wasn't paying attention. But even with the rocket's launch, it does nothing in the game, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. But we just babysat the rocket, making sure nothing was going wrong with it as it drove to this tunnel, and after watching it, we did get a trophy, so another random ass story moment. But then chaos did begin to unravel, and all of the robots here are turning us to kill us. And it turns out that little brain chip Jacob has is actually infested with viruses that makes machines evil. Bro is somehow the protagonist, antagonist, main character, and side character of this game all at the same time. And I also just answered my own question, but yes, the rocket does launch and nothing happens. It just launches and we get a trophy. So W, successful rocket launch, which again affects nothing in the story. Why are we here? Sincerely, why? Why are we here? Oh my god! So a little bit later, the boys are all atop this skyscraper, and this is when the beginning of the end begins. Morrison turns on this device that Jacob threw at machines all over the city, and upon activating them, he made this like call to the aliens or another dimension, but it just causes fucking chaos, and for the rest of the game, we're just in chaos. But I did get a trophy. This next mission then had us just battle enemies like nothing else for quite some time, trying to not die ourselves. During all of the combat, though, I finally got a trophy that wasn't from the story, but instead from eliminating 50 enemies that are stunned, and here's that trophy. Anyways, we then had to drive back to Morrison's little underground lab in the mines because all of the robots are at his place and they're now trying to kill him. Mr. Silva also was here, and both of them are shirtless inside the same confined room. I don't know what happened during the time it took me to get there, but goddamn it, didn't expect that one. Saving them, though, was very easy, and all it took was a few shots at the robot trying to kill them. Once done, another story trophy then popped. That bitch from earlier named Claudia also showed up again, and I almost forgot about her. I mean, I did forget about her because this game has thrown 5 other story arcs in since we last saw or heard about the hoe. But she hates us, I guess, and makes us dig her own grave as she berates us. Shout out to the grave digging mini game, almost as legendary as the Kratos hates his kid mini game. After digging it, though, we ended up getting shot at by other enemies, which spoiled the fun, but still gave me a trophy from digging my own grave, so W. But then something major actually does happen in the story, and we had to rush back over to Charlie's apartment, who is that hacker girl from the beginning of the game. By the way, I know I didn't mention it, but she and Jacob had like a thing going on, I guess, so shout out to E-dating. But some angry, tatted up man wanted to kill us and couldn't, so instead he just threw Charlie off the roof and she fucking died. Very sudden death, but this game is just, you know, peak, and I got another trophy pop. There was then another rocket launch thing, and this time we had to actually defend it instead of just watching it from the cup chair. It also took forever to get through this because it was just a long story segment, I guess. Ultimately, we did also end up in space controlling this satellite thing, which at first I was just confused as to what I had to do, but you just had to line up the sun with the thing to power it, I guess, and that was another trophy. And then you do have to make it out of the facility because every robot is evil now, and we just hopped in this sky car then flew away. But we didn't just fly to a random spot. Oh no, we flew all the way over to the ancient place where we saw those symbols back in the intro of the game. Again, why are you dragging it, MindsEye? But hey, it was a trophy for getting here, and we are almost done with this game, thank God. So while inside the ziggurat, which is what they call this place, you just do puzzles for the most part, and I actually did all of them fairly easily and quick, which was a shocker. And no, I didn't look it up. I seriously doubt anybody made a video on this game, let alone the puzzles in it. But I got 2 trophies from doing those, so W. You then have to fight your way out because the enemies also beat us here, since why not? After doing so, though, you get another trophy pop, and I'm just gonna fast forward to this game's end since the next hour of gameplay is just straight up fighting people anywhere we go. But you end up in this end game facility, and I got a trophy for finding every single weapon in the game, which is missable, but you can chapter select it if you fail to do so. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to the guide creator for this game, by the way. You blessed soul, I'm so sorry for your loss. Anyways, my final trophy was then just from finishing the game, and long story short, it pretty much ends with us finding the orb of power from the kin, who are the alien species or other dimensional beings the game threw at us. You don't ever actually see them, by the way, they're just voices in our heads, and I'm telling you, bro, they're real. I'm not hearing shit. But basically, Jacob at the last moment decides, guys, don't worry, I'll just sacrifice myself to save you all. And he just jumps into the orb with the robot carrying it, and then it collapses on itself, and that's it. The game literally just ends with credits. What the actual f*** was that? But here's the final trophy, and then the platinum trophy on MindsEye. So yeah, that was the MindsEye Platinum Trophy experience. Words can't even describe what that game is. I also looked up if it was AI generated, and some online forums say that yes, it has AI written narratives, which is why I believe the game just partly makes zero fucking sense at all time. It loses the plot over and over and over. Almost nothing matters in the game at all, and the ending is just great. I wouldn't expect anything else from it, to be honest. I think it's perfect. But again, this is peak. I can't lie. You guys should all go buy it and play it 100%.